Uka, same group. There were two rival groups. One was led by Humphrey Rwande, and the other one was led by Chibuka. Chibuka who? Forgotten his name. One was called UTC, the one of Rwanda. What was it called? You don't know the history of the labor movement? Okay. So now I'm very happy to talk to teachers. This is because teachers are educated people. So things are much easier. When you talk to people who are educated and who are educating other people. Lakwan in our language. Jokon? Lapon, the teachers. Lapon. Now, things to discuss are many, but because of being many, I think we should select the few crucial ones. The first point, which I had discussed with your earlier people like Mrs. Rabsheja and that group who were active at that time, was that your country, Uganda, had become a failed state. It had collapsed. I don't know how old, but a few of you could have been old enough to know what happened. To show the degree of the collapse, that's why I wanted where to write, because I was also a licensed teacher. I was not a... But I taught many big people in my role as a licensed teacher. I wanted very good. They brought my blackboard. Up. Just like that. Tissue. Lieutenant. You see, when you talk of salaries, salaries come from taxes. The one thing leads to the other. Salaries are from tax revenues of the government. And the tax revenues of the government come from taxing goods and services. You tax either good like for instance, beer, those who like to drink, that's a good, or a cigarette, or a service, like for instance, transport. If somebody has got, you tax goods or services. Now, by 1986, all and goods and services are from factories, hotels, etc. Now, by 1986, all these were down. There were no factories, there were no hotels. You can go back and check. If you are teachers, I'm sure you should be knowing some of that. Even if you are not there, even if you are young. So therefore, by 1986, because there was nothing to tax, very little to tax. Of course, you can also tax incomes. I forgot to mention incomes. You can tax incomes, incomes of people. That's also a source of tax. But that means there are enough factories and hotels where people are working and they are being paid, and therefore they have income, which then you tax. So in your discussion, when you are discussing with the ministers here, the sources of taxes, they should give you a detailed source of taxes. Don't talk about distribution without talking about collection. You don't distribute what you don't have. You must have something to distribute first. So therefore, the sources of revenues, it is goods, it is services, it is incomes. The goods, some of them can be imported goods, can be imported, some can be locally produced. So 1986, the tax collection was 1987. That was the tax. I don't know why these people don't give you all that tax collection from 1987. So give them. These are educated people. You don't have to hide and, as if you're hiding something. Give them the tax collection from 1986, year by year, so that each one goes. All these teachers, each one should have a copy. They will help you to explain to the others. So that was the tax collection in 1987, 5 billion. Why? Because there was nothing to tax, or very little. What is the tax collection now? 2018, tax collection is 17,000 billion. Tax collection now is 17,000 billion. That is about, according to my booklet, this is like how many percent? From 5 billion to 17,000 billion. It is like 300 and something, 80,000%. So tax collection has gone up very high. But we have two problems. When the economy started recovering because of our correct policies, first, what were these correct policies? Number one, provide security cheaply with the freedom fighters, because I'm from the bush, I'm a man of the bush. That's my former address. We Bush people, we have been able to provide security for Uganda cheaply. We come, we get raw salaries as soldiers, but we provide security. And if you want to see this, this ministry here, the Ministry of Finance, should show you the budget, defense budget of a country like Kenya. How much do they spend on defense? In dollars. And how much does Uganda spend on defense? You can get these figures, the whole of Africa. If the Uganda army was to ask the same type of expenditure like some of these other countries, Uganda would not afford. Would be like Somalia, which cannot support an army. So therefore, we were able to convince our fighters that, look here, when your family is poor, you don't run away from your family. You stay with your family and you work to improve it. That's how we're able to provide security cheaply. Why? Whatever little money we have, we spend it on weapons. Start with the weapons. Before we spend on pay. Pay also, we try to get some little pay, but we start with the teeth. We don't start with the stomach. We start with the teeth to bite. That's how Uganda has been able to remain peaceful in this chaotic part of Africa. South Sudan, war, Congo, war. Even Kenya, you remember at one time there were big problems there. But here, we are stable. And because we are stable, and recently you saw there was a little bit of crime. There were a few people were killed, and you saw how people were worried. Those killings which happened, we were worried, and we came in and we said, no, don't worry. We are going to provide new solutions. And that's when we started installing the cameras and so on and so forth, and recruiting more manpower, and the situation was brought under control. So, because of providing security cheaply, we have been able to attract investments, to have factories. When I started the Uganda Manufacturer Association with Museven, when I started the Manufacturer Association with Mruana, there were only 80 factories in Uganda at that time. There are now 4,900 factories. And your delegation, your leaders, even these are not too many. My office should organize for them after they have telephoned their schools to open, not to close. I would want them to visit Namanve tomorrow before they go back, these people, so that they can see for themselves the sample of the factories which are coming up. They could, I don't know how many are they? What is the number? 220. They can be my guests for one night. I can manage to look after them if you don't have money to. And they visit Namanve, they take photographs, then each one they go back to their schools, so that they have got something to teach. So So the factories now in Uganda are 4,900, employing 700,000 people, Ugandans. Now, because of those number of factories, you can be able to get this finance. You see, finance, really you are neglecting these teachers. These teachers are very good partners. Many of them are NRM people. So you can really liaise with them, give them information. Because, for instance, if the factories are 4,900 now, compared to 80 not so long ago, what tax comes from them? Because the tax which comes from factories here, we call it excise duty. That is the tax which is collected from our local factories. So it will be good for them to know that the more factories we have, the more excise duty we collect. This excise from import tax. When you are importing something from outside, it pays a tax, but that one is called import tax. But the bad thing with the import tax is that the one who made this shirt which is imported is not your person. So the factories here generate 3 taxes for us. Tax number 1 is what they call excise duty. Excise duty is that tax when the good is going out of the factory. Don't call it exercise, it is excise. Even me, I don't know what excise means. You should find out, because I just say exercise also, I don't know what it means. But I know it is not exercise. So, but it is that tax of a good which is leaving a factory. Then, these 700 workers who had no jobs, these are your Ugandans who had no jobs, but they have got jobs now. So they pay income tax, because they have income now. So they pay income tax. So you can find out also how much income tax came as a result of the more factories. Then many of the products also pay sales tax, I think. Is sales tax still there?
No, there's VAT now.
It's VAT, but they used to call it sales tax. That means that if a bottle of beer is produced in the factory, it pays excise duty first, excise tax first. Then, not Museven, because Museven doesn't drink beer. Who drinks beer now? Who is the volunteer beerist? Bakavulindi, oh, they say Bakavulindi. They say Bakavulindi is the one who drinks beer. So when he buys the bottle, he now pays, we used to call it sales tax, but I think they say they changed, they call it VAT. So therefore, that bottle of beer generates 3 types of taxes for us. First of all, the excise tax. Secondly, the income tax of the worker who is producing it. Thirdly, the Bakavulindi. When he buys the beer, he pays the tax of buying the beer now. We used to call it sales tax, but they say they now call it VAT, value added tax. So those are now taxes as a consequence of factories coming. Yes, when the factories make profit, they pay now corporation tax. When they make profit, when they become rich and they make profit, they pay tax on their profits. So that is now from factories. But they are the hotels, services. Hotels pay taxes in different ways. When you sleep in the hotel, every hotel room, when you are booking a room, you pay a tax, I think. What do they call that? And then, of course, the workers there also pay income tax. Then when the company makes profit, it also pays corporation tax, and so on. Now, the service companies, which are registered in Uganda, are now 8,400. And they are employing 1.3 million people. And then there are new companies called ICT, the ones of the computers. Those also, what was the number? Did you get me the number? So, that is how, by doing two things. First of all, we provide security. Secondly, we were able to, we were clever, we just used the private sector, because the government did not have money to build these factories. So what we did, we encouraged the private sector, and the private sector built all these new factories. ICT companies are now 6,000. No, they're all together about 15,000. And they're employing about 300,000 people. So, that is how we are now able to get bigger tax, 17,000 billion tax. Now we come to prioritization. And that's where you are partly right, but you're also partly wrong. According to our Secretary General, what is his name? Baguma. Baguma, your spokesperson, is partly right and partly wrong. Local priorities, but there must be priorities within priorities. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to manage. Okay, education is a priority. But what if you are not able to adequately fund both security and education? What do you do? If I start with education, or I don't fund security adequately, then you will have neither security nor education. Because without security, what education are you talking about? So, although they are all priorities, you can see that there are priorities that should come first. Within the priorities, you must also prioritize. How about electricity and roads? Because these factories, they run on electricity. And many of them need transport to transport their goods. So if you don't deal with security, you don't deal with the transport, you don't deal with the electricity, you can forget about factories. Yes, you need workers in the factory who are educated and who are skilled. You need them. But if you have factories, and you don't have enough educated Ugandans or skilled Ugandans, Kenyans may come and work in the factories. Yes, it can be a problem. It can be a problem that, yes, you have attracted factories, but you don't have enough educated Ugandans to man those factories. And if you go to the hotels now, they're actually full of Kenyans. The hotels, if you go to the hotels now, they are full of Kenyans. Why? Because our Ugandans are not well trained enough for the hotels. So it's a little bit of a loss. But it's better than having no hotels at all. Let the hotels come first. Initially, we may not get enough trained Ugandans, but at least they are here. Once they are here and they are earning, they are giving us income, they are giving us tax. That will enable us, now, because of the money we are earning from the hotels, we are now upgrading the former crested crane in Jinja. What is it called? The hotel. We are turning it, because our children cannot work in the hotels because they are not well trained how to work in hotels. When a visitor comes and says, what are you looking for? It is as if the visitor has done a mistake to come there. Oyagarachi. You know, very rude, very rude. Somebody feels as if he's not wanted. Because our people are not well trained. So these hotels hire Kenyans. But because the hotels are paying taxes, we now have money to build our own tourism school. The one of, what do you call that? Does somebody know? Huh?
I think it's hospitality or tourism training school.
Yes. The former Christian Crane Hotel of Jinja, we turned it into a tourism training school. Using which money? Money we are getting from taxing hotels, which are now manned by mainly non-Ugandans, but at least they are here, so we can be able to get taxes from them. This MTN, it gives us a lot of taxes, but it still employs foreigners, but it is paying taxes. And we are using those taxes to train our own people. So therefore, in terms of, it's not, they are all priorities, but what comes first? You must also sort it out in your mind. And since we had Tumhairwe, the Christian who prayed for us, and I was listening to her very carefully whether she's Christian or not, and I convinced myself that I think she's a Christian. Then what was you going to? When God created the earth, it took him 6 days. On Monday he did something. On Tuesday he did something else. On Wednesday. It was on Saturday when he created the human being. Are you trying to say that the human being is not important because he was created last? No, it's not. The human being was very important, but he could not be created earlier than Saturday because where would he be? God had to create a situation where the human being could, and you remember what he told him. He said, having done all this, he created him on Saturday, and he said, you man, he first got him a wife or what? What came first? God told him he gave him 2 jobs. He says, establish dominion over nature. establish dominion over nature, govern all these things which I have created. But then he also said, multiply and fill the world. Now the Africans do number 2, they forget number 1. But then sometime, when did he give him the wife? Was it before that or what? Anyway, we'll sort it out. But something following the other doesn't mean that what follows is less important than what came first. You must have that capacity to prioritize, even among the priorities. And I can tell you, if you think you can fund education without funding infrastructure first, you are mistaken. You are not going to get results. What will happen is that you will train people. That's what actually causes what we call the brain drain. You have heard of that. The brain drain. You train people, they go away. You train people, they go away. Why? Because they have no jobs. Why don't they have jobs? Because you don't have factories. Why don't you have factories? Because you don't have electricity. You don't have transport. You don't have security. So you're just wasting your time. It's better you start with security, with the roads, with the railway, and with the roads. You can, of course, also do a little bit on education, as much you can try to do as like we are doing now. We are supporting education, but not as much as we would like. If you look in the budgeting, and that's why you should give them the figures. These are educated people. Why don't you give them the figures? How much money have we put on the roads? This budget you're talking about, we have put 6,000 billion. Is that not so? Huh? Yes. With the roads, we have put 6,000 billion. It's not that there's no money. The money is there, but it has got a makobo manji. Many things to do. Give them the distribution. Why do you hide it from them? These are free mobilizers. You don't have to pay them. Just give them information. They will go and help you to spread it. We have put 6,000 billion for the roads each year. We have put electricity. I don't know how much, and so on. All those figures are there. You should give each one of these delegates. These are very important people. Each one is from a municipality. Each one should get a sheet of how the money is distributed. So that's what we need to agree first with you. Before you go these things of agreement, because sometimes these people you agree with sometimes don't tell you the truth. My mother was a Moroccan. I was also a Moroccan, but I retreated at some stage. But my mother she had a long list of sins which she had to avoid. One of the sins she had to avoid was ekibichokufuba. She used to call it ekibichokufuba. Okufuba is the original Uganda word, but they had anchoronized it. Okufuba is when you try to do what you cannot manage, and you are not frank enough to say, please, I can't manage this. So these people have got ekibichokufuba. They have got the sin of overstraining themselves. They say, yes, because they want to agree with you, then you sign, then tomorrow, then this, that. Instead of being frank and say, please, the problem here is this, the problem here is this, the problem here is this. They have got that sin. Ekibichokufuba. My mother also had another chibi, another sin. Ekibichensi. Like feeling embarrassed, not pleasing people. She would confess, so she had a number of, so these people have got a sin of Okufuba. sometimes they say, yes, they overstretch themselves. But for me, I think you as educated people, you should really be, and I'm going to spend more time discussing with you, so that we really do things which are good for our country, knowingly, all of us. But you are right in one area, the area lack of equality. When the money for public service comes, some of the public servants get more than they should get. That one I totally agree. It's a big problem. It started with especially the member. It was the Constitution, which was written badly in 1995, where the Parliament, those who are writing in the CSA, Parliament should fix their own salaries. You cannot get a hungry man to fix his own salary. Somebody who is hungry, you put him near the saucepan and you say, you dish out food for yourself. The man will just overload and forget about the others. So that one is a structural problem, but we shall solve it slowly. The other people whom they said should fix their own salaries were the judges. This is not correct. We should go back to the practice of one salaries board, all public servants. That's what you should be demanding. You should be demanding, and I will support you. So we need one salaries board, one authority in the whole land to fix the salary for all of us. All of us, the workers of the government. Is causing nyeko in our language of the north means jealous. When you hear that people are getting so much, I also caused some confusion a bit, which I repent. I repent most humbly. Like the city council, I paid Mrs. too much money, thinking that she would clean Kampala, but she didn't even do it. But this is a simple sin. I can repent it and withdraw those salaries of the city council, so that they go back to we fix salaries commonly. But for the parliament and for the judges, we need to amend the constitution to go back to one salaries board. Now, Musimbiri here has been trying to do it administratively, but the people who are dishing for themselves are also trying to. We shall sort it out. So that one is a problem. But otherwise, and we are going to solve it. We are going to solve it. I don't want to do it the hard way, because the hard way would be to call a referendum on this salary issue. Say, no more anybody fixing salary for himself. Let the population vote, and we all go back to one salaries body. But if you do that, then these young MPs of ours, many of them have debts, they will go to jail. Then what shall we do? How shall we legislate? Are we going to have a new elections or what? So that's why I've been using the guerrilla way. You know, I'm a guerrilla man from the bush. I go slowly. Don't think that when I was in the bush for 8 years fighting Amin, 5 years in the bush, don't think I was enjoying it. But I had to go slowly, and in the end we succeeded. So in the end we shall succeed. We are talking to the MPs also, please, you people, you are you are provoking. You are the ones giving a bad example. Because when you increase your salaries, then the others will say, why not us, why not us, why not us, why not us? It causes nyeko. And it destabilizes. But we shall sort it out. So, therefore, really I'm ready to discuss with you, as always. This one, what they had agreed with you, the 1 trillion in, I don't know in how many years, they made available 500 billion the other year, but this time they were supposed to make 500 another billion, but we have got things that we must do, which are not avoidable. You have heard, that money is there actually. That money, the one we are talking about, 500 billion, actually we have got more than that. And I'm working on it to make sure that they pay taxes. For instance, you remember the quarrel we had with when I introduced the mobile money tax. You remember that mobile money tax? Big argument, should we tax? That tax is now bringing in almost 200 billion shillings. More or less like what you are asking now. And the other one is also bringing in money. So, we are really going to get money. The thing is to be patient and engaged and not cause disruption. But finally, you can also look at the private schools. The private schools, they get much less money than you are getting. But they are there, struggling, teaching. I don't know how they manage. You know better. And the private schools are now more than the government schools, the secondary ones. How many are they? The private schools are how many? The secondary schools.
Your Excellency, the secondary school, public are 1,020, the private are 1,000, over 1,500, Your Excellency.
There are more. And they are teaching. I don't know how they manage, but and I hear they get less salary than our people do. But for me, I don't want to go on comparing with the private schools. I want our teachers to be well paid, but without forgetting the basics. Tumuherwe Gariembego Gashekere Kiteme. Do you know that proverb? What does it mean? Come and tell them. Come and educate them. Some teeth you used to smile at the garden. Say, what should I plant now? Banange. Because I ate the seeds. So, but this is not just for the teachers. It is for all the public servants, especially the political leaders. We should not forget about production and only concentrate on consumption. That's a big disaster. We have got some achievements because of that. So therefore, to conclude, I propose that this suspension of your strike for only two weeks is not a good idea, because you remember the Luganda word obunkenke. Obunkenke. What is obunkenke, Bandange? Obunkenke, ani amanyi Luganda? Ani asobola okutunyonyola? Who? Come here. What's your name? Muchivi. Okay, come Museven. Jangu otunyonyole. Let Museven come here. It's short and brief and to the it is brief and to the point. No much wastage.
Thank you very much. Obunkenke, it means when you're not settled. Toli mukakamu.
You're not settled, you are on tension.
You're on tension. Bwebunkenke.
Bakuzala Museven.
Masaka.
Masaka.
Kakosebo.
Kako. Kare.
Thank you.
So, putting your country kubunkenke is not a good idea. Let's agree, since I am also now involved, that you suspend your action for the whole term, this term. Yes, so that when the children come back to school, they come back settled, knowing that without worry. Then I can tell you, we are going to sit down and see what can be done about. They had already got 49 billion, but you said, that one. Okugaya. Okugaya, okunyoma, huh? Weta kunyoma, huh? Muruganda. When you say, but now what food have you? How much? What amount have you given me? So then we can go and see what else can be done. But I also want you to agree that if something is found, don't insist on monopolizing it alone, the teachers. Because if you do, it will create another problem for another destabilization. I want to end this destabilization. I want to end this destabilization. I want us to gradually go to a uniform base. So this one of hostage taking, this group takes government hostage, then the government pays the ransom. Then another group, Our Lord's Prayer says, "Thou shalt not lead us in temptation, but deliver us from evil." So don't tempt me to really think in a bad way, to say, please. Because for me, this whole thing of salaries is not my belief. I am not a man of salaries. We are people of sacrifice. We, the freedom fighters, we work for long periods without pay, long periods with low pay. For us, we work. But the civilians have their own different ways of thinking. And since the country is not ours alone, we try to live with them. But it should not go too far, because if it goes say that we should forget about the roads, we should forget about development, we only pay salaries, we are going to say no. And it will be a very, very strong no. And I don't want that, because that also has got its own problems. So that let's move slowly. It's good you have brought it to my attention. I now know. We shall see what can be raised. But once it is raised, let it be shared by some formula with the rest of the public service, especially the low cadres, the policemen, the soldiers, those ones who are like you. How much does the soldier get? Huh? 200. That was the old one. They are also getting 480. They are getting about 480. Number one, these 2 weeks is a bunkenke. Is a bunkenke. Let's have a longer period. Number one. Number two, if we raise anything additional, let it be shared by some of the groups, especially the low ones, so that we. And number three, let's work together, all of us, politically, towards a harmonized salaries board. That's my proposal. Okay? Thank you very much.